Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam.
And today is day 8, I believe.
Indeed.
I have it correct, of the 12 days of Christmas here at the Speak, Film, and Enter podcast and YouTube channel. And what we're doing is just one of the every 12 days leading up to Christmas. We've been... Adam got a little blurry there.
I did. I lost it.
Yeah, we've been going through and revisiting or watching for the first time 12 Christmas movies or specials that we just wanted to watch this year. And that's really all it is. It's not meant to be a definitive ranking or list of any kind as far as Christmas movies goes.
We've got plenty of lists and rankings if that's what you're in the mood for.
Absolutely. So for today, for day 8, we watched The Muppet Christmas Carol. And I didn't even really think about this until I rewatched it. It's also the 30-year anniversary of The Muppet Christmas Carol, which is pretty cool. Nice time to revisit it. It's out on Disney Plus if you haven't seen it before. So I had seen this before. Had you guys watched this at any point?
I don't think so.
When I was a kid, but
okay,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
once,
I feel like,
maybe.
I feel like this was the first time that I've ever sat down and watched it. I realized when I watched it that, you know, this might be blasphemous, but I just think I missed the wave on the Muppets when I was a kid. It just I was never. It just wasn't my deal. That was when I was a kid. I was home all day and on PBS or whatever. When it got to Muppets and stuff, I just was like, okay, something else. Like, so I've never really been in love with them as much as some people. They don't hold that place in my childhood. So I had never sat down and watched this fully. I feel like I don't even know very many of the characters' names, like most people probably do.
So what'd you think? Do you still hate the Muppets, or did they win you over?
I mean, I never hated the Muppets.
I was
indifferent. I liked it a lot. I thought the humor was good. I thought a lot of the jokes, the visual jokes, and kind of the more in-depth, like literary, like kind of was it Dickens who wrote? Yeah, like the Dickens jokes were good. And I think, I mean, just Michael Caine just playing it completely straight the whole time as Scrooge was just fantastic. And I don't know. I did really like it. It won me over, and I had a really good time.
Yeah, I love that Michael Caine, like before, this is like one of the big trivia things that's always surrounded with this movie is that Michael Caine went to Brian Henson, who was making it, and said, like, I'm not going to play this like any Muppety. Like, there will be no winks at the camera. There will be no like jokes. I'm pretending this is a Shakespeare event or a Shakespeare movie that I'm doing. So I'm going to be completely serious. And it's fantastic. It's just like, absolutely. We needed one of those, like just crotchety men to pull it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it works in perfect contrast with the spirit of the Muppets anyway.
Yeah.
And it kind of it grounds it a little bit more. This is a little less zany than most other Muppet movies. And I think I like the balance here a lot. And also because A Christmas Carol I've never been like a huge fan of it. I think part of that is because we've seen it parodied so many times growing up that I just kind of felt like, okay, I've seen these like 15-minute animated show versions of this, or like that 70s show has a version of it. And maybe it's the same thing as It's a Wonderful Life, which is very similar. But I just kind of seen it parodied so many times or mimicked, where the seriousness of some of the other adaptations never really grabbed me. But I really like the Muppets make it a little more lighthearted and a little more fun, while then Michael Caine still brings like the meat of the story to it. And I like that balance, and especially the having Gonzo and Remy, Gonzo as Dickens and then Remy just as himself, which is sort of a fun little play on the Muppets being the actors.
But like a duo, a narrating duo.
Yeah, but them narrating it, and you get some of the really great like actual lines from the novel, which I think is a really great touch. And then you're just, I don't know, it frames it in such a nice and accessible way and adds a little bit more lightheartedness and fun to a story that I think can feel a little drab sometimes otherwise.
Yeah,
for sure. I think so too. I think they really nailed like the aesthetic. It's like
Mhm.
the Muppets are providing the silliness and like the little kid stuff, but everything else from like the set design to Michael Caine's performance to like using the actual lines from the book and just is very serious. And they just walk that line really well where it doesn't feel too little kiddish, but it also doesn't feel like you said deadly serious or just like, okay, like we've seen this before, like we get it. Like
Mhm.
it felt fresh. And then anytime that it goes between like almost like a word for word taking from the book and like Michael Caine playing it so serious and like, so much emotion to like, just a little kind of simple little joke, like a little goofy, like, oh, the rat, they're trying to get through this gate. And then the rat's just like, oh, I forgot that he just runs right through it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that one's great.
yeah.
That one, and I think the when he lights his tail instead of the candle.
Oh yeah, and then he gets tossed down into the ice.
Yeah, well, then he's just screaming like, light the candle, not the rat. Light the candle, not the rat." And just the flow, like the energy of that scene is just really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was good. I was it's interesting how creepy the Ghost of Christmas Past was.
Yeah.
Like that, like
Also,
legitimately.
like an ingenious way to just drop Gonzo and Remy from the story for like kind of the serious, like climactic moment without
Mhm.
like it just fits. They're like, oh, this ghost is too scary. We'll see at the end.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they make it fit because otherwise, if they had just kind of dropped them and not said anything, or if they had Gonzo as like Dickens say like kind of address the audience and then say like we're just gonna step aside, like that would have felt a little too forced. But they just found it like, and they've made it funny. Like they found a very good way to just usher them aside for like 10 minutes when we get to the big moments.
And the design of the Ghost of Christmas Future, very
Yeah.
who are the guy Dementor-ish.
Oh,
And
that was
like Dementor-ish, and also
just
like
death.
Lord of the Rings, like the Nazgul, like the
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 riders.
riders, like yeah, very like just a great design, very creepy, very timeless. The big cloak and the dark face gets them every time. um, yeah, I really like that. I even liked the gregariousness of the Ghost of Christmas Present, and
Yeah,
kind of
that worked really well.
like how he's so big but then he's smaller and then he like gets older and gray like really quick. And just I kept thinking every time that he would talk or whatever, I kept thinking like Joel Edgerton from The Green Knight. Like like just so friendly and like, oh, what did I, but also like he knows something, like he's up to something, but
Yeah,
he's just
there's a
so
plan. There's something.
friendly. He's a
Yeah.
big tub of jolliness. Like
Yeah, and it was nice to have like a kind of Muppet be like one of the ghosts, because the first one is just like a little angel, and then you got like basically death
yeah,
at the end, and then like what do we do for the middle? Let's just make a giant Muppet.
yeah, yeah, that was good. All the stuff with Tiny Tim and Kermit.
Yeah, perfect
Mm-hmm.
role for Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had a great time. And then interestingly, like the night before I watched it, there was a little Christmas gathering and we were, playing cards and doing other stuff. And this was on in the background with no volume. So like I got to see like the imagery of it first and be like, man, that looks like, man, I wonder what's going
That's
on there.
interesting.
And then I got to actually see it and I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like we should have all just stopped
Yeah.
playing cards and watched this together. Like,
Yeah, for sure. And they did build like a bunch of that as a set.
the town.
Yeah. I mean, this just kind of goes back to like this would all just be CGI'd now, right?
Yep.
Like it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Where you just have this like amazingly detailed and designed like real set and that they're doing these things on. And there's just something about being able to look at it and know that you could like touch it. I think that just gives it a texture and like a familiarity and just like an inviting nature that I really, really liked. And like they just weave all that in really nicely. And then also I watched this with my dad. He hadn't seen it in a really long time, and we were both kind of marveling at just how many Muppets there are. Yeah. And they're all different.
Mhm.
Like just the level of creativity to be able to go through. There have got to be at least 100 unique Muppets in
Oh
this movie.
yeah, the ones that
Yeah.
are popping out of the windows singing,
Yeah,
and I also really liked the music, the kind of the brief musical little
the music's
bits.
really good.
Yeah, it is. It's solid. I also like that they, it's almost all Muppets, but then they have a human actor for Fred, his nephew, and
Yep.
that was good too because that was just that worked so well in that scene at Scrooge's office where it's like he's being mean to all these Muppets, and you're like, oh, okay, I get that dynamic, and then another human comes in who's his nephew, and he's just as mean to him, and his nephew kind of pushes back like in the moment, like, oh, you're just like cheer up, like I'm not gonna dim my
Yeah.
spirit just because you're not feeling it. It's kind of like this defiant, like Fred can talk to Scrooge in a way that the Muppets who work for him can't.
Yeah.
And so that scene was just set up very well. And then later when he kind of gets to spy on Fred and his family, and they make that joke about him or whatever about like that where he's the butt of the joke about how
Oh yeah.
horrible he is. Like I feel like that like had good amount of weight in it. Yeah, it was really well done. I had a really good time. I liked it a lot. I wish I would have watched it sooner.
Totally.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else, or do we want to get into our favorite moment?
Moments. We can get to
Favorite
favorite moments.
Yeah, so as has become a tradition here for the 12 days of Christmas, just to wrap up the episode, we each like to share our favorite moment from the movie or special. And who would like to go first?
I can go first. My favorite moment, it's a lot of it's just the comedy that is throughout because it's just peppered in. Like I like the Muppets when we were we went to Disney or early last year, so like February. We went to the Muppets like show, like live show that they have. Which is
Oh,
obviously
nice.
just like a little like there's like a screen and they've got they just play the same thing over and over again. But loved that, and it's like a 20-minute show or something. But just the humor that they pepper in because it's just little stuff like here, and then there's another one like rapid fire. So in this one where they're like, you become a man of business tomorrow, and he's like, I'm looking forward to it. It's the American way, and they're like, wait. It's the British way, like
Yeah.
just like just throwing homages and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed those things, and then there's just more one after another. So that's my favorite moment.
I think for me I want to just say like Michael Caine's performance because it just felt like he was always playing it the right way, and that wasn't easy with like working with Muppets. And he plays it straight the whole time. So then when he finally has these revelations and he's like, like begging the ghosts of Christmas future, like, give me another chance. Like, I know it now. Like, it felt like it was like a stage production. It was just like, yeah, Michael Caine bringing the bravado and just the weight to all this. So I'd say that or the moments when Gonzo says a line directly from A Christmas Carol. Because it's just it's just such a nice touch. It just always brings it. It's like zany, and then that just brings it right back, and we're like we're back, we're based again. So I think those two. I just think both of those to cast Michael Caine and to have Gonzo go back to actual lines, not all the time, but just every once in a while, was brilliant.
It's like a nice legitimacy.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah. Also, it's Rizzo the rat. I was getting that wrong right away. Remy's from Ratatouille, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rizzo.
So easy slip of the tongue there, but it is Rizzo. So my two would be, I just laughed so hard that little moment when Rizzo just kisses Gonzo on the nose. It's so funny. And then also they bring the sentiment with the song in Bob Cratchit's house with Kermit with that Tiny Tim sings.
Yeah.
It's just so heartwarming. I don't know how that can't get to you. So those were my two favorites.
Yeah, I liked how they worked in the old guys, the peanut gallery or whatever, as the goat. That was a clever choice too. Yeah, and all the songs were really good. I think the last song that Michael Caine sings when at the very end was not as great and catchy as the others, but I mean by that point, like you're still like you have a smile on your face and you're just happy to see him.
You got the warm feeling.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I wish this was on cable more often because I don't remember seeing it a lot. Like with the Rudolphs and the Frosted Snowmans and all that stuff that goes on. This definitely deserves to be. It's probably more like a rights thing than anything else, but it definitely deserves to be on TV and to be seen by everybody like every year
for sure.
All right.
All right. And has also become tradition. Adam, would you like to take us away?
I will. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us for day 8 of our 12 Days of Christmas here at Speak, Film, and Enter. We very much appreciate you watching and listening this season to everything we have. We look forward to next year and have a happy holiday season and Merry Christmas.